It seems like Kyle Shanahan is finally going to have a football marriage with a quarterback. It's going to be Brock Purdy, going to be tied to the hip. There's other head coach quarterback combo. It's kind of the most important combo in football. How do you think the Niners combo stacks up to the other top combos in the NFC?
Yeah, and I think this is super important, Grant. I mean, anybody can do this. Go division by division in the NFL and pick your top head coach quarterback combo in that division. That's who won each and every division this year. Unless 49er fans, I'm sure, will say Kyle and Purdy, but I think most people would say McVay and Stafford. But outside of that, every other division, that's exactly what it was. Chalk, head coach, quarterback combo, that's who won the division. And when you look at the playoffs, that's kind of how it's played out so far in the playoffs. I would argue that the head coach and quarterback combo between the Texans and the Chargers is pretty even. So either way, I could have seen that one going either way. But if you look at every other game, I think that the head coach quarterback combo that was the best won those games. So I think it's increasingly important. It's interesting because there's so much that goes into football, but it really can be that simple sometimes that's what wins. And so looking at this, AFC, there's a lot of great combos, but for the NFC, how do the 49ers at least get back to the promised land and give themselves a chance to win a Super Bowl? Well, they've got to go through the NFC. And I think that there's only two combos that are like better to me, and then there's some that are on par. So I'll say the combos that are better are McVay and Stafford. I think they're the best combo out of all of them. And then I would say Campbell and Goff. Now, I think that one's controversial because you could probably, I was back and forth. Can I put them on par or would I say they're better? I just think Campbell right now is like ascending as a head coach. Not that he's better than Shanahan, but right now in this moment, I think he's at least there. And Jared Goff, say what you want about him. In a vacuum, I would probably choose Brock Purdy for the next 5 years because he's mobile and I do like mobility at the quarterback position. But in this moment, Jared Goff has like 6 good seasons in the NFL on 2 different teams. He isn't coming off of a bad season. He's gotten it done multiple times. I mean,
he's coming off a 15-win season.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it. The team around him is really good. I'm not trying to prop him up as elite, but for a guy in Brock Purdy who's had a good season and a half a season and 1 mediocre season, and you're looking at Goff, who's like, well, he's put together 3 really good seasons in Detroit and another 2 or so with the Rams, and he made the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl with the Rams, and then he goes to Detroit and has made another NFC Championship, and who knows how far they're going to get this year. At some point, you just have to give him credit. So, yeah, I would say that combo right now is slightly better. And then on par for me, I would say Quinn and Daniels. Daniels is ascending. We'll see where his career goes, but in this moment, he's a very, very good quarterback. And Quinn's been around for a while. He's knows how to win in this league. And then this one is painful to say because
I know what you're going to say.
I'm not a fan of either of these guys. Who am I going to say? You
always have to give this coach the caveat. Like, let me just say, I don't like his work at all. All right, he really bugs me. But his record speaks for itself. He's so consistent. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
Yes,
it's the truth.
I just have to go off the production. I don't like either of them, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Well, we all know it's all about Big Dom out there in Philly. I mean, it's a Big Dom production.
It is a Big Dom production. That's true.
Yeah.
So
ask Trey Greenlaw.
I just think it's going to be really hard for the 49ers to get right back into the Super Bowl. I'll say that because there is some competition out there for them.
What about LaFleur and Love? Their stock's down, huh?
To me, even going into the playoffs, I had Love behind Brock slightly. I had him slightly behind him prior to the playoffs, prior to the season. Love just turns the ball over way too much for me. Brock had the same problem this year, but Love did it last year. Then he cleaned it up. He did it this year, and then he cleaned it up, and he did it again in the playoffs. And LaFleur, I don't think is just as. I just don't think he's as good as.
That's the one thing you can say about Brock in the playoffs. He hasn't turned the ball over very much.
Well, and he didn't turn the ball over for the first year and a half either.
Right.
He does put the ball in harm's way. I will say, Brock will go YOLO on you, and there were a lot of drop picks. I get all of that, but Love is he's a true gunslinger at heart. Throws off his back foot 90% of the time. It's just I got to see more from Love before I'm even.
And when you listen to Tom Brady like call games that Jordan Love's in, he'll be like, "You can't do that. You can't." Like it's like, no. Like I know you're inexperienced, but man, you're gonna have to learn to not do that.
Yeah, it's interesting because he really does pattern his game. He looks like Aaron Rodgers as far as how he throws off platform, back foot, but as far as his willingness to just say F it, Aaron Rodgers never did that. And almost to a fault. He's just, I'm not going to turn the ball over. Jordan Love does not care. He's, triple coverage. Like, I can squeeze it in there. Let's go. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. All right. What about Gannon and Kyler? They're better than the Niners this year.
They were better than the Niners this year. Kyler's another one that's from a talent standpoint, just like Love, from a talent standpoint, is there. Kyler even more so. I don't know that there's 4 quarterbacks in this league that are just more purely talented than Kyler, but something's missing. Something's missing.
It's called 4 inches.
No,
maybe 6.
Yeah, that's
missing. I'm so sorry with Kyler. I really like him. I do want to say though, the Cardinals are interesting because, like the Niners, they're gonna have a lot of cap space, but unlike the Niners, they don't have to spend it on their own players. They're gonna go out and try to get a really good pass rusher or another wide receiver. They're gonna try to make a big splash and make themselves contenders. I don't know if they can pull it off, but that'll be Kyler Murray's last chance.
They have $25 million more to spend than the 49ers, but like the Commanders have $50 million more to spend, man. That's
tax-free state. Now, I don't know who only wants to hitch their way, but I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. got way better as the season went along. Trey McBride is good. James Conner's good. They put 47 on the Niners' ass. But I mean, they were really, season was over.
Well, they're at a spot now where, I mean, if Gannon going into his final year, potentially, if they don't make the playoffs, true. I mean, he might be gone.
True.
They might be willing, and I think that they're in a position, they definitely are money-wise, where they could say, hey, you know what? The draft was great last year. We built that. We're trying to win now. Let's just go get Myles Garrett this offseason, and let's go sign T. Higgins. And now we've got our explosive receiver on the outside with our possession receiver, our really good tight end. We've locked up our running back. We drafted another running back. And now we're going to go get Myles Garrett. And we're going to build a little bit more on this offensive line. And let's see what happens. So that's a possibility.